Up to yesterday, we completed general concepts, boys, in our alkali metals. Those are general properties. So general compounds, that is oxides, halides, and their solubility and stability. All those are we are completed it. Now, in all those chemical reactions, entirely lithium is differently behaves. So other elements properties one side and lithium only another side. That means in our group, in our alkali metals, the first element lithium differs from its rest of elements. That concept is taken as anomalous property. Yes, anomalous properties. Now, what are the anomalous properties of this lithium? Why this one differently behaves? Now, lithium has its properties coincided with next group second element, that is magnesium, which is taken as there is a diagonal relationship, lithium diagonally related with magnesium. After that, a particular element compounds, that is in your syllabus. Okay, so one by one we are discussing here. First of all, anomalous properties of lithium. That means the properties of lithium is generally in every group elements, those group elements present in every group have similarities in these properties. But in every group, first element differently behaves from rest of elements. Not only in alkali metals, next alkaline earth metals, beryllium differs, and boron family, boron differs, and carbon family, carbon differs, and like this in every group, first element behaves differently from rest of the same group elements. That behavior is called as anomalous behavior, anomalous property. Now, why lithium behaves differently from rest of the elements? So what are the reasons behind it? See here. So this is due to this anomalous properties of lithium is due to first point, lithium has small size, and lithium has a small size, very small in size, and because of that it has highest ionization energy. Highest ionization energy. Next, second point, lithium, it has high electronegativity. Electronegativity of lithium is much more higher than that of rest of the other elements. Next, third one. So what is that lithium? Lithium atomic number Z is equal to 3 boys. Its electronic configuration 1s2, 2s1. That means outermost orbit is the second orbit. So inner orbit, it is anti-penultimate shell, boys. It is penultimate shell. That penultimate shell contains only 2 electrons. Penultimate shell of that lithium contains only 2 electrons. But rest of the elements, remaining elements, observe which. For example, I am taking sodium. Sodium atomic number Z is equal to 11. 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. It is electronic configuration next element, that is sodium. So it is outermost orbit. So this is penultimate orbit. This penultimate orbit has 8 electrons. This penultimate orbit has only 2 electrons. Only 2. Even the outermost electronic configuration is same, but penultimate electronic configuration is not same. So lithium penultimate orbit contains only 2 electrons. So but other elements having 8 electrons. So in this way, lithium is different. That means penultimate shell of lithium contains only 2 electrons, but remaining elements have 8 electrons. That's it. Their properties are different. Next, it is outermost orbit, boys. So second orbit contains 2p orbitals, 0 ra. 2d orbitals not existent. Lithium outermost orbit doesn't have any d electron, d orbitals, but it is the third orbit, 3p, 3d are existent, but 0 ra. That means here outermost d orbitals are exist, but here outermost d orbitals are not exist. So because of these reasons, lithium behavior is entirely different. Now, what is the third point? Third point. So penultimate shell. Penultimate shell of lithium contains only 2 electrons, but rest of the elements contains 8 electrons. Next, fourth point, that is last shell. that is outermost shell and contains no d orbitals in lithium, but other elements contains d orbitals in it. So because of these four reasons, so properties of lithium are differ from rest of the elements. So what are those properties? Already yesterday in most of the occasions I repeated it. So this is the anomalous property. It is differently behaves from lithium. So all those properties are there, boys. So all those here I am going to rewrite at one place. All those properties we are taking as anomalous properties. So please recollect all these property points. So that is I am writing in. See here. Anomalous properties. Anomalous properties of lithium is due to small size, high electronegativity element, high electronegativity. So penultimate shell contains only 2 electrons. Outermost orbit contains no d orbitals in case of lithium. That is why the properties of lithium is different. So what are those properties? First of all, first point that is lithium is it is the hard material, hard metal. When compared to other same group elements, remaining elements are softened, but lithium is hardened. Because of this point, so melting and boiling points of lithium are more, but rest of the elements have low melting and boiling points. But lithium contains high melting and boiling point because of its hardness. So it is the special property, boys. It is the special property. Next, second point, that is lithium is the least reactive. Lithium is the least reactive element. But rest of the other elements are more reactive. So other elements vigorously reacts with water, but lithium slowly reacts with water. Next. So example, lithium slowly reacts with water. But others, the reaction with water is very fast and slowly reacts with water. Next, lithium directly reacts with nitrogen, but other elements not directly reacts with nitrogen. So if this one directly reacts with nitrogen, that gives lithium nitride as the product. Lithium nitride, but other elements forms azides. Remaining all elements forms azides, but lithium only form nitride. It is a special property. Next one, that is lithium with oxygen gives only monoxide. So lithium can form only monoxide, boys, but others, monoxides, peroxides, superoxides, all those are possible, but lithium can form only monoxide because of its smallest size. And because of its smallest size, lithium can form only monoxide. Okay. Next point, that is lithium is less reactive towards air. Lithium is less reactive towards air, but other elements more reactive towards air. Because of that, other elements are stored in kerosene because they react with oxygen and react with water vapor and react with carbon dioxide. All those gives respect to compounds, but lithium doesn't react like that. Because it's less reactive here. Okay, because of that, it is stored just by taking that is wrapped with wax coated papers. Okay, just lithium is stored by wrapping wax coated bodies, but other elements are very reactive. That is why they are stored in kerosene. So therefore, less reactive towards air. Therefore, it is stored in wrapped wax coated papers. Wax coated papers are sufficient, but rest of the other elements can stored only in kerosene because those are more reactive towards air. Already the point is covered, boys, in our general properties. Next, lithium hydroxide, less reactive and decomposes into respect to oxide. Lithium hydroxide is unstable and it decomposes into respect to oxide. What is that? Yesterday we completed any lithium hydroxide on heating gives lithium oxide and H2O. Lithium oxide and H2O. But remaining hydroxides not decomposed. But lithium hydroxide is going to be decomposed. It is the special property. It is the special property. Okay. Next point. What is that? So both lithium oxides and lithium hydroxides are weakest bases in the group. So both lithium oxide and lithium hydroxide are weakest bases, but others are strong bases. But that is sodium oxide, sodium hydroxide, potassium oxide, potassium hydroxide. All those are strong oxides, but lithium oxide and lithium hydroxide are. So there is weakest basis. Weakest basis. Basic nature is very, very less. Okay. Next one. So boys, these are that is decomposed. Decomposed means converts into respect to oxide. But other hydroxides, instead of decomposing, they are going to be melted. They are going to be melt. But it is decomposed. Right? Next and most important, boys, that is salts of lithium, like fluorides, borides, phosphates, oxalates, carbonates are less soluble in water. That is lithium fluoride, lithium boride, lithium phosphate, lithium oxalate, that is lithium carbonate. All these are less soluble in water. But other elements, same compounds, are more soluble in water. These are less soluble. That is means sparingly soluble. Sparingly means lessened. So these salts are sparingly soluble in water. So, but other salts are more soluble. But other salts are more soluble. Please keep in mind, boys, one point that is very, very important. So what is that point? Please, this is note down is next note point. But that is, but note points. But lithium chlorate, perchlorate, ClO4. Lithium perchlorate is more soluble in water. So actually most of the salts of lithium is less soluble and sparingly soluble. But lithium perchlorate is more soluble in water. But others are less soluble. Therefore, the solubility order of perchlorates is lithium chlorate, perchlorate greater than sodium perchlorate greater than potassium perchlorate greater than rubidium perchlorate greater than cesium perchlorate. That means lithium perchlorate is very, very soluble. So instead, it is against to the rules. Why, sir? Why lithium perchlorate? Why it is differently behaves? Why it has more solubility? See here. So reason. What is the reason behind it? What is the reason? Reason for this one is lithium perchlorate. It ionizes as lithium plus ion and ClO4 minus ion. lithium plus 4. Yes, lithium plus and ClO4 minus N. ClO4 minus N, its structure is like this, boys. O minus, double bond O, double bond O, double bond O. Because of its resonance, it is involved in 4 resonance structures. Because of its resonance, it has greatest ionic nature. It gives ionic crystals, boys. It gives ionic. It is not covalent. It is purely ionic. It is purely ionic. At the same time, this lithium plus ion, it is small in size. Small in size. Because of small size, so more hydration energy. So greatest hydration energy is phosphorid. It is ionic. It has almost no polarization. Almost no polarization means almost it is ionic. If polarization is there, there is more covalent. But almost no polarization means it is a purely ionic. Ionic crystals are formed. So it has the greatest hydration energy. More is the hydration energy, more is the solubility energy. So based on these reasons, our lithium perchlorate is more soluble. Our lithium perchlorate is more soluble. It is the exceptional case. In remaining occasions, so different. Okay. So this is about some of the properties. And now some other properties. That is lithium chloride is highly deliquescent. Lithium chloride is highly deliquescent. What is, sir? What is this meaning? Deliquescent means absorbs water vapor from air continuously. Absorbs water vapor from air continuously. That means water from the nature is easy to absorb. Because of this reason, so lithium chloride exists as hydrated substance, salt, that is LiCl3H2O existent. LiCl3H2O. Because of this reason, because of its deliquescent reason, so it exists as hydrated. Most of the other chemicals, other elements chemicals, okay. So it is not soluble. It is not soluble. Okay. Sometimes Kartikeya, sometimes Karke. Okay. Next point, that is due to covalent character. That is, see here, that is lithium fluoride, lithium chloride, lithium bromide, lithium iodide. So lithium fluoride is ionic, boys. Already we explained. But remaining 3 are covalent. Because of its covalent nature, all these are soluble in organic solvents. All these are soluble in organic solvents. Organic solvents, carbon tetrachloride, benzene, because those are covalent, these are covalent, like this also like, that is why. So lithium halides are mostly soluble in organic solvents. But other elements halides are ionic, not soluble in organic solvents. Not soluble in organic solvents. Next, lithium carbonate, unstable and decomposed on heating. So that is lithium oxide and carbon dioxide. Lithium carbonate on heating going to be decomposed into lithium oxide. But for example, Na2CO3 is there. So this Na2CO3 on heating, no reaction. Not only Na2CO3, other compounds, carbonates are not decomposed, but lithium carbonate is going to be decomposed. Lithium carbonate is going to be decomposed. So it is the anomalous property, special property. Next, similarly, nitrates also. Nitrates, what is that? Lithium nitrate, LiNO3. Lithium nitrate is also decomposed into lithium oxide, NO2 gas and O2. So that means lithium nitrate is on heating gives lithium oxide, but other nitrates, NaNO3, On heating gives NaNO2 and nitrite. Nitrite is gone, but here is oxide and so remaining nitrates on heating gives nitrites, but it gives oxide. But it gives oxide. It is the special property and it is the anomalous property, boys. It is the anomalous property. Next one, and that is 13. That is, what is that? That is lithium sulfate and Li2SO4. Not form alums. Yesterday last topic. And lithium sulfate not form alums. Alum is nothing but that is water softener. Water purifier, not softener. That is water purifier. And so lithium sulfate doesn't form alums. So the detailed explanation we will discuss at 13 group elements, boys. Up to now, please mind it. So alum not formed because of small size of lithium, but other sulfates, potassium sulfate, sodium sulfate, can form alums. So it is the anomalous property, boys, because of small size. Next point, that is observed dipole moment of lithium salts is less than that of calculated dipole moment. Observed dipole moment of lithium salts is less than that of calculated, because our lithium salts are covalent. More is the ionic nature, more is the dipole moment. But we expect these are ionic, but mostly these are covalent. Because of covalent nature, the dipole moment, so not as we observed, we expected, not as we expected. So that's why observed dipole moments are less than that of calculated dipole moments. Okay. So what is that? 14 point. So observed dipole moment of lithium salts. Because covalent nature, less than that of calculated by using that formula. What is that? Mu is equal to delta into L is there. By using that formula, we calculate some value. But observed value is less than that of this one and that one end. So it is due to its covalent nature. Like this, number of properties and lithium is differently behaves. All these properties are called as anomalous properties of lithium, boys. Please keep in mind all these points are very, very important. Already these points are covered at the time of our subtopics, but altogether at one place we are writing here. Okay. Next point, next concept. What is that? Lithium properties not coincided with same group elements, but these properties are coincided with next group second element. The properties of lithium are coincided with next group second element. What is that next group second element? Next group is the second group. Second group second element. What is that next group second element? That is magnesium. Yes. So lithium properties coincided with magnesium. Exactly, that magnesium is in diagonal. Is the diagonal element of lithium. So that is the diagonal element of our lithium. So see here. Diagonal relationship of lithium with magnesium. Diagonal relationship of lithium with magnesium. What is the diagonal relationship? Okay. So what is the diagonal relationship? See here. That is lithium, our group first element, lithium, sodium, potassium, like that, beryllium, magnesium, calcium, like that. Both lithium and magnesium in your periodic table are diagonally related elements. These two elements have similarities in their properties. That is why that relationship is called as diagonal relationship. That is why that relationship is called as diagonal. That means the properties of lithium are coincided with magnesium and diagonal elements. So why, sir? Why properties of lithium coincided with magnesium? So what is the reason behind it? Why lithium properties are coinciding with magnesium? So reason for this one is both lithium and magnesium have almost same size. Both lithium and magnesium have almost the same size. Because the same size is same, most of the properties are also same. And because of that reason, so properties may be coincided. Next point, the polarizing power of lithium and magnesium always, that is almost same. Almost same. So polarizing power of lithium and magnesium almost same. What is that polarizing power? How to calculate this polarizing power? Polarizing power is the ratio of charge to size and charge to radius. This ratio for these two elements almost same. This ratio is for these two elements is almost same. That is why polarizing power is same. Because of these two reasons, the properties of lithium coincided with magnesium. The properties of lithium coincided with magnesium. So what are those properties? Let us observe one by one. So similarities. Similarities. That is first one. Both lithium and magnesium are hard metals. Both lithium and magnesium are almost the same hardness is there, are hard metals because of that small size and polarizing power. Next one, second point, both lithium and magnesium reacts with nitrogen, form respective nitrides. That is, lithium with nitrogen gives lithium nitride, and magnesium with nitrogen gives magnesium nitride. So both lithium and magnesium directly reacts with nitrogen, gives respective nitrides, but other elements not possible. Respective nitrides. Next, both lithium and magnesium only form monoxides. Only form monoxide. Lithium side, lithium monoxide. Magnesium side, magnesium monoxide. Only monoxides are possible. So peroxide like that compounds are not possible, boys. So that's why these two are similar. These two are similar. Next, both lithium hydroxide and magnesium hydroxide are less basic and weakly basic nature. Both are weak basic in nature. Both hydroxides are weak basic nature. Both hydroxides are going to be decomposed. So lithium hydroxide on heating going to be decomposed into lithium oxide and H2O. So similarly, magnesium hydroxide are going to be decomposed into magnesium oxide and H2O. That means both on decomposition, both these hydroxides on decomposition gives respect to monoxides. But other elements, they are going to be melted, not going to be decomposed. They are going to be melted. Next, that is please note down all these points. Please write your running notes. Next one, that is fifth point, that is compounds of lithium and magnesium like fluorides, borides, carbonates, phosphates, oxalates are sparingly soluble salts. sparingly soluble in water. Sparingly soluble means less soluble in natural. Next, both lithium chlorides and magnesium chlorides are deliquescent. Both lithium chloride and magnesium chloride are deliquescent and confirm lithium chloride with 3 water molecules, magnesium chloride with 6 water molecules. Hydrated salts are formed. Hydrated salts are formed. So, but other elements cannot form that type of hydrated salts. There is a similarity in both can form hydrated salts. Both can form hydrated salts. Both are deliquescent. Both are deliquescent. Next point, that is both nitrates on decomposition gives oxides. Both nitrates on decomposition gives oxide. What is that? Lithium nitrate, LiNO3 on heating gives Li2O plus H2O. Just a minute. Li2O, lithium nitrate, it is Li2O plus NO2 plus O2. Similarly, magnesium nitrate, MgNO3 twice gives magnesium oxide, NO2 plus O2. Boys, these are unbalanced equations. Please try to balance it. Try to balance it. So almost similar products, oxide, NO2, O2. So that means that there is a similarity between these two compounds, lithium and magnesium compounds. Okay. Similarly, carbonates, LiCO3, it is on heating gives Li2O plus CO2 on thermal decomposition. Similarly, magnesium carbonate, it is on heating gives MgO plus CO2. So it is also similarity. So that means the nitrates and carbonates similarly behaves. Next and last point. Next and last. What is that? That is bicarbonates of both lithium and magnesium are exist only in liquid state. So bicarbonates of both magnesium and lithium are exist only liquid. Yesterday we completed, boys. LiHCO3. This only exists in liquid stage. Yesterday we completed any. So similarly, magnesium bicarbonate also exists in liquid state. MgHCO3 twice. So both are exist in liquid state. Solid compounds are not possible to prepare it. So their solid compounds cannot be prepared. Solid bicarbonates of magnesium and lithium preparation not possible. Solid bicarbonates of magnesium and lithium preparation not possible, boys. So only they are exist in liquid state. These are all similarities between that magnesium and lithium and magnesium. That means lithium properties are coincided with magnesium. That is why considered as diagonal relationship, boys. Up to now, general properties are covered. Now, in particular, element and its compounds. So that is in your syllabus. So from your first year group elements, the most important element is sodium. Sodium properties. So sodium compounds, sodium compound properties, uses. So now in our syllabus. So that means our topic is compounds of sodium. Next topic is compounds of sodium. So see here. That is compounds of sodium. And my dear students, it's my humble request. What is that? Please take your pen and paper and try to write along with me. Please don't take any screenshots. So try to write along with me, because most of the reactions are available here. Number of reactions, one by one, I am writing it. So please write yourself. Otherwise, it is difficult to remember each and everything. It is difficult to remember each and everything. So here some diagrammatic explanations are also there. So please try to write. Okay. So please try to draw those diagrams also along with me. Yes, most of the students well known, but so try to follow me. So others are also, please try to follow me. Try to follow me, because a lot of syllabus is there, boys. That's why I'm writing to a little bit fast. Right? Is why I'm writing little bit fast. But every reaction important. Every reaction. Sorry, is this important or unimportant? No way. All reactions are important. All reactions are important. So otherwise, it is difficult to remember, boys. Please keep in mind my words. Thank you. That is compounds of sodium. So sodium sites, number of compounds are there, boys. So that is sodium hydroxide, sodium chloride, sodium carbonate, sodium bicarbonate, sodium oxide, sodium peroxide. So like this, number of compounds are there. Among all these compounds in your syllabus, boys, I will explain. So coming days. Okay. Among all these, the first and most important one is sodium hydroxide. So that is the most important compound from sodium side. Sodium carbonate, sodium hydroxide, sodium bicarbonate. These three are very, very important. So that's why first of all we are discussing here about sodium hydroxide. So sodium hydroxide. See here. That is first one. Sodium hydroxide. Sodium hydroxide. What is its formula? That is NaOH. That is NaOH. So solid NaOH is commonly called as caustic soda. Caustic soda. Solid NaOH is commonly called as caustic soda. Next, liquid NaOH, not liquid, it is aqueous. Aqueous NaOH is called as soda lime. Solid NaOH is commonly called as caustic soda. Aqueous NaOH is commonly called as soda lime. These are the regularly used words. Next, why this NaOH is commonly called as caustic soda? So boys, this NaOH is in solid state at room temperature. Okay. If we are taking this solid in your hands or any on your skin, automatically the protein present in your skin is going to be react with that NaOH. It is going to be pulp and finally make as a paste. That paste finally leads to wounds formation. So the entire nature is called as a caustic N. So that's why that is NaOH is called as caustic soda. Because of that reason, that NaOH is called as caustic soda. Okay. So that means our skin protein is completely damaged with that NaOH. So please be careful about that NaOH solution. NaOH solution, NaOH solid. Because our skin is very, very important. Okay. Soda lime. Yes. Soda lime is different. Okay. So NaOH plus CaO combination is soda lime. But it is a soda lime. Okay. Now, what are the preparation methods of this NaOH? Preparation methods. Preparation methods of NaOH. So for preparing NaOH, there are 4 important methods. There is 4 important methods. One is causticization process. One by one we will discuss it. Second one, Nelson cell process. Third one, Kastner-Kellner process. And fourth one, Kellner-Solvay process. This Kellner-Salve process is the latest process. So plasticization process, Nelson cell process, Kastner-Kellner process, names are important. Next and last one, Kellner-Salve process. One by one, that is first one. First method, what is that first preparation method? That is plasticization process. Or which is also called as gaseous process. Plasticization process or gaseous process. Okay, so what is this plasticization process or gaseous process? Here we are using sodium carbonate, washing soda. This sodium carbonate is treated with calcium hydroxide. Calcium hydroxide, that is a acrylamide. That is calcium hydroxide. So by the combination of these two, that means this sodium with this hydrogen OH combination, 2NaOH and calcium carbonate is the product. Calcium carbonate. So in this form, the formed NaOH is almost 98% pure. The formed NaOH is 98%. So more than this percentage purity is not possible. Any 100% pure NaOH cannot be prepared by this method, because this CaCO3 is the most important impurity. It is not possible to separate that entire CaCO3. Only 98% CaCO, 98% NaOH is possible. So this method is called as plasticization or gaseous process. So it is not possible to calculate, to prepare 100% pure compounds. Now, to prepare on the 100% pure compounds, so temperatures generally something heating. Okay. Now, to prepare 100% pure compound, electrolysis techniques are used. Those electrolysis techniques are, one is the Nelson cell process and the second one is Kastner-Kellner process. So that is next one. That is second method, which is electrolytic process. One is Nelson cell process. Very, very important process, which is also called as porous diaphragm process. Porous diaphragm process. Nelson cell process, which is also called as porous diaphragm process. It is electrolysis process, boys. It is electrolysis process. So whenever electrolysis process is applied, wherever electrolysis technique is there, so there should be electrolytes, there is electrodes, anode and cathode. Where that electrolyte is taken, that is electrodic cell. These are the requirements. These are the requirements. Here, first point, in this process, electrolyte is aqueous NaCl solution. 10% aqueous NaCl solution, which is called as a brine solution. Brine solution. That brine solution itself acts as electrolyte for this one. Okay. Next one. Second one. Electrolytic cell. Electrolytic cell. Where that electrolyte is taken, that is perforated U-shaped steel tank lined inside with asbestos. Lined inside with asbestos. So this is electrolytic cell. So this is U-shaped steel tank, boys. This tank, this itself acts as cathode. This steel tank itself acts as cathode. Very, very important. Next, anode. For this anode is graphite rod. Graphite rod acts as anode. So now what is the diagrammatic arrangement, boys? So listen and draw along with me, boys. So what is the diagrammatic arrangement? See here. Take a U-shaped steel tank. U-shaped steel tank. Please take it. So perforations are there. So these are perforations. I am taking. So these are perforations, and very, very minute perforations. Pores are there. What is that? This is U-shaped steel tank. U-shaped steel tank. Perforations are there. So that U-shaped steel tank lined inside with asbestos. This red line, asbestos coating it. Red line is totally asbestos lining it. Inner walls of that tube is lined with asbestos. Inner walls of that tube lined with asbestos. So that means pore size is very, very minute size. Next, in this we are taking this electrolyte in it. That is the brine solution. So what is this? This is brine solution. That is 10% aqueous NaCl solution. That is brine solution. Okay. Now itself, this steel tank acts as cathode. That is minus. Itself, that steel tank acts as cathode. Next, put a graphite rod. That is, a graphite rod is placed into the solution. It is graphite anode, which is a battery positive. Graphite anode, battery positive. Okay. Now, please place this U-shaped vessel in outer rectangular iron tank. So place that U-shaped vessel in outer rectangular iron tank. It is rectangular iron tank. This is, what is that? That is asbestos. Asbestos lining. This is rectangular iron tank. This rectangular iron tank, at the bottom, there is an inlet for steam. There is an inlet for steam. Next, there is an outlet. For what purpose? Later we will explain it. Next, close this U-shaped vessel. So at the anode, there is outlet. So that is the waste gas coming out. So this is the arrangement, boys. So at the bottom of this iron tank, there is a container. There is a container. In this container, we will collect this NaOH solution. NaOH is collected at the bottom of that iron tank. At the bottom of that iron tank. It is the diagrammatic arrangement, boys. What happened here? Please listen here. So what are the reactions that takes place? So that is, this is aqueous NaCl solution. So what are the reactions? Reactions. Aqueous NaCl means it is a combination of water and NaCl. It is a combination of water and NaCl. This water ionizes as H plus and OH minus. NaCl ionizes as Na plus and Cl minus. In solution, this is the ionization. This is the ionization. So at cathodes, cations are rich. What are those cations? H plus and Na plus. So those Na plus and H plus cations are reached to cathode end. So in this Na plus and H plus itself involved in the reaction because it has low discharge potential. Because H plus has low discharge potential, so that's why H plus only involved in the reaction. Therefore, two H plus ions taking two electrons converts into H2 gas. That means at cathode the liberated gas is hydrogen. At cathode the liberated gas is hydrogen. Next, at anode. See here, I am clearing this one. At anode, boys. At anodes. So that is anions. What are those anions? This OH minus and Cl minus ions are reached. Cl minus OH minus ions reaches anode. So here Cl minus ion has low discharge potential. So therefore, two Cl minus ions involved in the reaction converts into Cl2 gas by the loss of electrons. Therefore, at anode, fluorine gas is liberated. So see here, this is anode ending. At this, fluorine gas is coming out. It is very, very useful gas. At anode, chlorine gas is released. Okay. At cathode, hydrogen gas is released. Ending. Through this, hydrogen gas is coming out. Through this, hydrogen gas is coming out. So now, at cathode, unreacted Na plus is there. At anode, unreacted OH minus is there. That is in solution. Therefore, that unreacted Na plus and OH minus ions they combine with each other, that gives NaOH. That unreacted Na plus and OH minus ion combine with each other gives NaOH. Or sometimes, so another reaction. So this unreacted Na plus ions which are present in the solution, okay, come back. So coming out from the pores of this U-shaped vessel. So pores, through that pores, Na plus ions are coming out. Okay, so that is our Na plus ions. So coming from the pores, so reacts with the steam end, so which is passed from the bottom end. Steam reacts with each other, that gives NaOH, and hydrogen gas is liberated by taking electrons. By taking electrons, so this is hydrogen gas is liberated. That is the hydrogen gas, boys. Okay, that is the purpose of steam. Therefore, that formed NaOH is collected at the bottom of that iron tank. That formed NaOH is collected at the bottom of iron tank. It is the way to prepare. It is the way to prepare NaOH by Nelson cell process. So boys, it is very, very important process. What is that? So it is NaOH, the most important laboratory reagent and industrial chemical end. Next, at cathode hydrogen gas is liberated. At cathode hydrogen gas is liberated. This is very, very useful gas because it is used as a fuel. Already we completed at the time of our hydrogen and its compounds. What is the importance of that hydrogen? Next, chlorine gas. So it is the most important gas. So for water purification, in water purification, chlorine gas is used as a oxidizing agent. That is water purifiers. So that means it is very, very important. That means all the byproducts and products are very, very important. Therefore, it is the most important preparation method for NaOH. Not only direct NaOH, byproducts are also mostly costly byproducts. That's why mostly this is the technique used. So what is the gas which is released at cathode? At cathode, hydrogen gas. At anode, chlorine gas is liberated. So NaOH is collected at the bottom of the tank. NaOH is collected at the bottom of the tank. Next one. Next one. It is Nelson cell process, boys. Now, third method, that is Kastner Kellner process అండి. Kastner Kellner process, which is also called as mercury cathode process అండి. Kastner Kellner process, which is also called as mercury cathode process. What is this? So Kastner Kellner process. So what is the diagrammatic arrangement, boys? See here. Here also very important. So this is the most important. It is better than Nelson cell process. See here. Take a rectangular iron tank. It is a rectangular iron tank. So the bottom at one end, this bottom is fixed to a base. That means this end is not, it is just movable end, up and down movable. That means it is fixed. It is fixed. At the other end, eccentric wheel is used. It is extrinsic. Extrinsic wheel is used. What is the purpose of this extrinsic wheel? So if wheel is rotated, moving this direction, that means automatically the tank is moving upward direction. If wheel is moving like that, opposite, so move is downward direction. That means up and down movement of that steel tank is done with this eccentric wheel. That means the steel tank is moving up and down with the help of this wheel. Okay. Next, this entire vessel, steel vessel and iron tank is divided into 3 compartments. Almost bottom, don't touch that bottom. It is the first compartment, don't touch this bottom. It is the second compartment. So that is first compartment, second compartment, third compartment. So these are the 2 partitions. Okay, by using 2 metal rods and iron rods. So iron partitions. So this is divided into 3 compartments. So it is first compartment, second compartment, and third compartment. Now at the bottom, so we are using mercury. This red line is totally mercury, boys. So this mercury free to move in all 3 compartments. This is the mercury, boys. So it is totally mercury. Okay. So mercury free to move in all these 3 compartments, but not solution taken in these compartments. Only mercury is free to move on. In first and third compartment, we are taking, so in this compartment, aqueous NaCl, that is brine solution. Please try to draw along with me. So that will help for your studies. It is aqueous NaCl. Aqueous NaCl solution. So nothing but it is also aqueous NaCl. It is aqueous NaCl solution. First and third compartments are filled with aqueous NaCl solution. Next, second compartment, middle compartment. This middle compartment is filled with almost pure water. But pure water cannot follow flow currents. That's why So a little bit impurity is there. That impurity is NaOH, because in this vessel, in this second compartment, we are collecting NaOH. So that means a little NaOH is added in that water. So it is aqueous NaOH solution. Almost water, very little NaOH is added, because in this second compartment we prepare NaOH. So that means if any other chemical is added, that is acts as impurity. So if NaOH is added, it is itself acts as no impurity. So that is aqueous NaOH. Next, in middle compartment, a series of iron rods. This one acts as. So this acts as a series of iron cathode boys. So cathode means battery negative. So iron cathode is applied. Iron cathode. Next one. In first and third compartments. So that is what is graphite rods. It is graphite anode. Graphite anode, battery positive. Here also, third compartment also graphite anode. It is also positive. So therefore, see boys, in first compartment and third compartment anode is there. In middle compartment cathode is there. But in this compartment, no cathode. Here no anode. Here no cathode. There, see here. In first and third compartment, because it is anode, this mercury acts as cathode. This mercury acts as cathode in first and third compartments because of induction. Because of induction technology, in first and third compartments, here mercury acts as, and that is cathode. Here also mercury acts as cathode. But in middle compartment, this mercury acts as anode. Here mercury acts as anode. In middle compartment, mercury acts as anode, and first and third compartments, mercury acts as cathode. That means mostly mercury acts as cathode. Therefore, our method is called as mercury cathode process. Mercury cathode process. Okay. So now, what are the reactions takes place here? First and third compartments identical, and middle compartment is different. Now, what are the reactions takes place in first and third compartments? So let us observe. In 1 and 3 compartments, what are the chemical used? Aqueous NaCl. Aqueous NaCl. This aqueous NaCl means NaCl plus water. That means it contains Na plus ions, Cl minus ions. It contains H plus ions and OH minus ions. Now, so it is at anode. At anode, this Cl minus ion involved in the reaction. Cl minus takes 2 electrons and converts into Cl2 gas. Therefore, so in first compartment there is an outlet. So it is for Cl2. Cl2 gas is coming out because of this reaction. Next, here also, here is also an outlet. Here also Cl2 gas is coming out because first and third compartments identical. From outer compartments, fluoride gas is coming out. Okay. Next, at cathode. At cathode. See boys, after completion of reaction, Na plus ion is there. This Na plus ion reaches to mercury. Na plus ion reaches to mercury and gains electrons and converts into 2 Na plus, takes 2 electrons and converts into Na2Hg. This is sodium amalgam. That means here sodium amalgam is formed. Here also sodium amalgam is formed. Okay. So that sodium amalgam, so by using this wheel, so we are moving up and down. So here this formed sodium amalgam moving to this like this. Yes, alloy. So this formed sodium amalgam moved to this one, and here also this formed. That means the formed sodium amalgam now entered into the middle compartment. So now in middle compartment, in middle compartment, what are the reactions? In middle compartment, that formed sodium bicarb, that is sodium amalgam, Na2Hg, takes here almost water that reacts with water and gives, that is 2 moles NaOH plus, so it is 2 moles. So mercury plus hydrogen gas is evolved. Hydrogen gas is evolved. This is the reaction takes place in middle compartment. NaOH is formed. That means the percentage of NaOH in middle compartment goes on increases, and hydrogen gas is coming out from the middle compartment. So from here, hydrogen gas is coming out. So this is the way to prepare the NaOH in middle compartment. If the concentration reaches to 20 degrees, 20% NaOH, automatically that solution is going to be separated. So by evaporating, the remaining water is removed. The remaining water is removed, and 100% NaOH is prepared by this. 100% NaOH. Okay. So this is the way to prepare it. Boys, it is the reaction in middle compartment. These are the reactions in terminal compartments. Terminal compartments, that is, what is that? Kastner-Kellner process. But three compartments. So these are the three compartments. It is difficult to explain the concepts. That is why to simplify this concept, there is a modified Kastner-Kellner process. Okay. So now, no, mercury is not reacted with that NaOH. Not possible. Okay. Yes, electrons may be released. NaS, 2 electrons are released. Okay, now here. So three compartments. It is difficult to explain the concept. That is to simplify this concept. This is modified. That is the latest technique. That is a modified Kastner-Kellner process, which is called as Kellner-Solvay process. Kellner-Solvay process. All the reactions as it is, boys. All the reactions as it is. Okay. Now, what is the diagram in that latest technique? That is, diagram is just replaced. That is fourth technique and fourth method, that is Kellner-Solvay process. It is modified Kastner-Kellner process. Reactions as it is. All these reactions as it is, boys. So it is in first and third compartments. So reactions as it is. Now the diagram is like this. See, boys, take a iron tank. So graphite rods are placed. These are graphite rods, a series of graphite rods, boys. Graphite anodes. Okay. Here our aqueous NaCl solution is taken. That is 1 and 3 compartments, boys. It is no middle compartments. That is a single compartment. It is aqueous NaCl solution. Next, from this outlet, chlorine gas is coming out in the, just like in previous case. This is because of this reaction. Chlorine gas is coming out. Now at the bottom, I am taking like this. like this. Now what happened? This is mercury is passed. So this is totally mercury, boys. So mercury is passed. This is mercury that is free to flow. Okay. Now at this position, this reaction takes place. This reaction. Therefore, sodium amalgam is coming out. So that is why. So through this, Na2Hg is coming out. Through this, Na2Hg is coming out. This is separated and in another vessel treated with water. So that means second reaction takes place. So there is no need of middle compartment, boys. It is a simplified form. It is a simplified form. So it is called as a Kastner-Solveig process. Okay. So this is Kastner-Solveig process. This is the way to prepare NaOH differently in different methods. Okay. Among all these, the best method is Kastner-Kellner process and also modified methylenic. Okay. So this is the preparation of NaOH. Now, what are the properties of this NaOH? So physical properties, what are the physical properties? What are the chemical properties of this NaOH? See here. Properties of NaOH. The prepared NaOH is white crystalline solid. Our NaOH at room temperature is a white crystalline solid. Next, soapy to touch because it is a base. So soapy to touch. Next, corrosive nature. Corrosive nature. Okay. Next, NaOH decomposes. NaOH decomposes. So proteins in skin and proteins in skin to form pasty mass. To form pasty mass and leads to wounds and leads to wounds. So this is called as caustic soda. So this is called as caustic soda because of this reason. So NaOH is called as caustic soda because of this reason. Next, our NaOH highly deliquescent. So our NaOH is highly deliquescent. What is the meaning of deliquescent? That absorbs water vapor from air continuously. That is the meaning of deliquescent. Because of this reason, our NaOH absorbs water vapor. So that is automatically converted into liquid state. That is converted into liquid state. This formed NaOH, that liquid NaOH, also absorbs carbon dioxide from air. This NaOH also, that liquid NaOH also combined with carbon dioxide which is present in our air and converts into Na2CO3H2O and converts into Na2CO3H2O. Because of formation of that Na2CO3 from CO2 when NaOH reacts with CO2, so that is why NaOH not used as a primary standard solution in volumetric analysis, in titrations. In titrations, what is standard solution, boys? A solution whose concentration is known is called as a standard solution. A solution whose concentration is known and it is not altered even at different temperatures, which is called as primary standard solution, not changes. So that is why KMnO4 is used as a primary standard solution. So, but NaOH, there NaOH automatically absorbs water vapor. So carbon dioxide converts into Na2CO3. That means the concentration of NaOH gradually decreases and changes its concentration. Because of this reason, so our NaOH is not used as a primary standard solution, but used as a secondary standard solution. But used as a secondary standard solution. It is very, very important. NaOH is not a primary standard solution. It is a secondary standard solution. Next, NaOH is highly soluble in water. Or NaOH, highly soluble in water. So this reaction is highly solubility of NaOH in water is highly exothermic. It is highly exothermic. A very huge amount of energy will be released when NaOH dissolved in water. When NaOH dissolved in water, a very huge amount of energy will be released, heat energy. So that's why it is a highly exothermic reaction. Highly exothermic reaction. Next, when NaOH is heated strongly up to 1573 Kelvin. So 2 moles NaOH involved in that is the Akstoff heat, heated strongly, that gives 2Na plus O2 plus H2. Elements are coming out. That elements are coming out at about 1573 Kelvin. So that means NaOH is on strong heating, gives O2 and H2 and NaNe. So it is very, very important. So these are the physical properties of our NaOH. These are the physical properties of NaOH. Now NaOH when dissolved in water gives Na plus ions and OH minus ions. So because of that OH minus ions, free OH minus ions, that solution, aqueous solution of NaOH is a highly basic, strong basic solution. So aqueous NaOH solution is a strong basic solution. Okay. So therefore, these are the physical properties of our NaOH. Now, what are the chemical properties of this NaOH? Boys, these are all chemical reactions. I'm writing each and every reaction from my side. Please note your sides. Once again I'm writing, boys, only unbalanced equations. Now please try to balance yourself by using your own technology or by using your materials. I'm using unbalanced equations. So, but both reactants and products are I'm writing, but is unbalanced equations I'm writing it. So because for balancing it takes a lot of time. So that much time is not here. Okay, so try to balance. I will send the notes. In that notes, balance equations are there. Okay, see boys, now chemical properties. Fast reactions, please see here. Our NaOH is a basic solution. Because it is base, it reacts with acids. Now reaction with acids. So first one, reaction with acids. All these reactions we know. Now our NaOH reacts with acids. First one, HCl, acid, that gives NaCl plus H2O. Next, H2SO4, acid, H2SO4, that gives NaHSO4 plus H2O. And second reacts with NaOH and gives Na2SO4 plus H2O. That means, so two types of salts are formed. Sodium bisulfate and sodium sulfate. Sodium bisulfate and sodium sulfate. Next, when it reacts with HNO3 and nitric acid, that gives NaNO3 plus H2O. All these are acid-base reactions, boys. These are acid-base neutralization reactions. Salt plus water. Next, it reacts with the CH3COOH. Acetic acid, that is sodium acetate is the product, plus H2O. If it reacts with oxalic acid, H2C2O4, that gives Na2. Once again, two types of chemicals and Na2C2O4 plus 2H2 oxalate. Sodium oxalate is the product end. So all these are acid reactions. Now, not only acid, acidic oxides may also react with this NaOH. So that is acidic oxide, that is non-metal oxides. Non-metal oxides. One is CO2. When NaOH reacts with CO2, NaOH reacts with CO2, that gives Na2CO3 plus H2O. Na2CO3 plus H2O. Next, when NaOH reacts with SO2, sulfur dioxide, that gives Na2SO3 plus H2O, sodium sulfite. When it reacts with SO3, when it reacts with SO3, that gives Na2SO4 plus H2O. Na2SO4 plus H2O. Next, when it reacts with SiO2, which is called as silica. Silica. SiO2. So that gives Na2SiO3, which is called as sodium silicate. At sodium silicate plus H2O. So when it reacts with silica, boys, silica, it is glass only. It is glass. So glass contains silica. So NaOH reacts with that glass silica and converts into sodium silicate. So because of this reaction, our NaOH is not stored in glass bottles. If it is stored in glass bottles, so the glass reacts with NaOH and form respective silicates. That bottle is, that means the lid is fixed. That means it is going to be tight. So automatically there is a compound is formed between those two. That is why. So it is not stored in, NaOH is not stored in glass bottles. NaOH is not stored in glass bottles. So due to this, NaOH not stored in glass bottles. Because of this, NaOH is not stored in glass bottles. Next, when NaOH reacts with N2O5, sodium pentoxide, that gives NaNO3 plus H2O. NaNO3 plus H2O. So these are the reactions of NaOH. These are the reactions of NaOH with acids and acidic oxides. All non-metal oxides are acidic. All non-metal oxides are acidic. Next, one more important reaction, boys. Here, that is very, very important. What is that? See here. That is 2 moles NaOH reacts with 2 moles NO2, nitrogen dioxide. That gives NaNO2 plus NaNO3 plus H2O are the production. NaNO2 plus NaNO3 plus H2O are the products. See boys, here nitrogen has a plus 4 oxidation state. Here nitrogen has a plus 3 oxidation state. Here nitrogen has a plus 5 oxidation state. That means NaOH reacts with NO2. So first of all, it is reduced and then it is oxidized. Same element involved in both oxidation and reduction. No doubt, this is a disproportionation reaction. That means the reaction of NaOH with NO2 is a disproportionation reaction. Reaction of NaOH with NO2 is an example to a disproportionation reaction. Very, very important. Next. These are reactions with acids and acidic oxides. Next. Reaction with non-metals. Reaction with non-metals. These are also important. That is, see here, with non-metals. Reaction with non-metals. See boys, NaOH, hydrogen is a non-metal and no reaction, please keep in mind. With hydrogen, no reaction takes place. NaOH, when reacts with boron, 2 borons, that is 6 NaOH plus 2 boron gives Na3BO3. Na3BO3, sodium borate plus H2 and 3H2. Hydrogen gas is liberated, 3H2. Next, 6 moles NaOH when reacts with carbon ending, 2 moles carbon, so it is a fusion, boys, means heating ending, fusion, that gives 2 moles Na2CO3 plus H2 is the product ending. So with the carbon, so 3H2 plus Na also product ending, Na also product. How many moles? 6 Na, 4, that is 2 Na, and 2 Na is also product ending. So that is with non-metals, hydrogen, boron, carbon, and also silicon. NaOH reacts with non-metal silicon in the presence of water. 2 moles NaOH involved in the reaction, that gives Na2SiO3, sodium silicate, which is also called as water glass. So common name ending. So water glass plus 2H2. 2H2 ending. So that is a sodium silicate ending. Next, it is important ending. That is when NaOH reacts with phosphorus, NaOH. So 3 moles NaOH, concentrated NaOH. So phosphorus reacts with NaOH. So that is in the presence of water, gives phosphorus is changed to PH3, that is NaH2PO2. Sodium dihydrogen hypophosphite. Sodium, that is, it is 3 moles. So that is balanced. See here. Here phosphorus oxygen state is 0. Here phosphorus oxygen state minus 3. Here phosphorus oxygen state plus 1. No doubt, same element involved in oxidation and reduction. It is also a disproportionation reaction. It is also a disproportionation reaction. Please note down. This is also a disproportionation reaction. Next, when 4 moles of sulfur atoms reacts with 6 moles of NaOH, that gives 2 Na2S sodium sulfite plus Na2S2O3 plus H2O are the production. So 3H2O. It is hypo, boys. Sodium thiosulfate. Hypo. It is a sodium sulfide. Sodium sulfide. Okay. So here sulfur is in minus 2 oxygen state. Here sulfur is in 0 oxygen state. Here sulfur is in, I think, 2.5. I think not exactly. How much, boys? S2O3. Hey, okay, 2.5 positive. Once again, sulfur oxygen state decreased and increased. It is also disproportionation. It is also disproportionation reaction. Similarly, if 12 sulfur atoms are there, so that is reacts with NaOH, that gives 2 Na2S5 is the product plus Na2S2O3 plus 3H2O. Same end, but it is called as sodium polysulfide. Sodium polysulfide is the product. Okay, that is hypo. So these are the reactions of some of the non-metals, boys, and most important reactions are, boys, all these 3 are disproportionation reactions. All these 3 are disproportionation reactions. Now, reaction with halogens, and halogens are also non-metals. Boys, please note down. Reaction with halogens. That is, NaOH reacts with fluorine, gives NaF plus OF2 plus H2 are the products. NaF plus OF2 plus H2 are the products. So it is cold dilute NaOH. So when fluorine reacts with cold dilute NaOH, NaF, OF2 and H2O. So balance equation, boys, just a minute. I'm using balance equation, that is 2F2 plus 2 NaOH, that gives 2 NaF plus OF2 plus H2O. It is important product boys. OF2 is the product. Oxygen difluoride. Oxygen difluoride. Same. If NaOH is hot concentration condition, very important. I'm taking little bit time to explain this. So hot concentrated NaOH, when it reacts with fluorine, 2F2, once again, 4NaOH gives NaF plus O2 plus H2O. Here oxygen gas is the product. Oxygen gas is the product. It is 4 times, it is 2 times. Okay. So with cold dilute NaOH, when with fluorine gives OF2, with hot concentrated with fluorine, O2 are the products. Please keep in mind, this O2 has paramagnetic nature, MO diagrams, bond order 2. So like that, so connection is asked in your objective method. So there is a compound. So what is the bond order of this one? What is the magnetic property of that one? Like that, number of bits are asked. So this is the very important reaction. Next. Fluorine, sorry, not fluorine, fluorine is completed. Fluorine, bromine, and iodine. Reactions are with NaOH similar to chlorine. All these reactions, I am writing chlorine equation twice. So if you know chlorine, bromine and iodine also similarity. So when chlorine gas reacts with NaOH, chlorine reacts with NaOH. So that is a 2 NaOH, cold dilute condition. Cold dilute condition that gives NaCl plus NaClO plus H2O. Balance it. So that is NaCl plus NaClO plus H2O. It is balanced. See boys, here chlorine oxygen state 0. Here chlorine is in -1. Here chlorine is in +1. This is called as sodium hypochlorite. Sodium hypochlorite. With the cold dilute NaOH, this is the product. Next, when Cl2 reacts with NaOH, it is hot concentrated one and gives NaCl, NaClO3 plus H2O. So please keep in mind, this is the difference. This is the difference. It is called as sodium chlorate. Sodium chlorate is the product. Here also chlorine oxygen state 0. Here chlorine is in -1. Here chlorine is in +5. So these two reactions are disproportionate. These two reactions are disproportionate. Not only these two, with the bromine and iodine also disproportionation reactions. Boys, on your board 4 equations are there. All these 4 equations a number of times asked. Number of times, very important reaction. So that's why I'm taking a little bit time to explain this. Very important. Here OF2, it is O2. Here that is ClO, here ClO3 minus. So like this, it is possible. Okay. Next, reaction with non-metals completed. Now, reaction with metals. NaOH reaction with metals. All are reactions, boys. Please try to by heart. It's enough. Try to by heart or write number of times. That will give more knowledge and no doubt. Write number of times. Next, reaction with metals. Reaction with metals. See here, when beryllium metal reacts with NaOH, that gives Na2 BeO2, sodium berylite plus H2 is the product. Berylate, sodium berylate. So it is ionic compound, boys. It breaks down into 2 Na plus ions and BeO2 minus 2 ion. BeO2 minus 2 ion. That is the sodium berylite. So balance it. That is a 2 NaOH is sufficient. Next. So after that, aluminum. 2 aluminum reacts with 2 NaOH plus water, 2 H2O gives NaAlO2, 2 moles NaAlO2, sodium meta aluminate plus H2O. Sodium meta aluminate plus H2, that is 3H2O. So see here, hydrogen gas is liberated, hydrogen gas is liberated. That means when NaOH reacts with metals, that gives hydrogen gas. Hydrogen gas. Next, tin and Sn plus NaOH, that is 2 NaOH gives Na2SnO2 plus H2. Sodium stannite. Sodium stannite. So next, lead and similar reaction. NaOH gives Na2PbO2 plus H2. See here, all these are hydrogenic acid. So that is sodium plumbite. Sodium plumbite. Next, zinc and with 2 NaOH, that gives Na2ZnO2 plus H2. Na2ZnO2 plus H2. It is sodium zincate. Sodium zincate. So these are the reactions of our NaOH with metals. These are the reactions of NaOH with metals. In all these cases, hydrogen gas is the byproduct. Hydrogen gas is the byproduct. Okay. So this is very, very important. Next. So metals completed, non-metals completed. Okay. Acids completed. With compounds, with other compounds. So that is important. And those reactions are very helpful in qualitative analysis. With other compounds. With other compounds. With other compounds. Now, very, very important. Any ammonium solvent, first one, ammonium salt reacts with NaOH, liberates ammonia gas. Ammonium salt reacts with NaOH, liberates ammonia gas. So this ammonia gas has characteristic order. It has a special order, that is ammonia order. So based on this reaction, we can identify whether the given salt in your lab is ammonium ion is there or not. It is a test for ammonium ion. It is a test for ammonium ion. So whatever it may be the ammonium salt that reacts with NaOH always liberates ammonia ion. So ammonia has a special characteristics. So see here, let us take an example. So example for that one is NaH4Cl, ammonium chloride, and reacts with NaOH, that gives NaCl plus H2O plus ammonia gas. So ammonia gas is evaluated. So it is a test for ammonium ion. Nothing but NaH4 plus ion. It is a test for ammonium ion in qualitative analysis. It is a test for ammonium ion in qualitative analysis. So that is the test for cations and anions. So in your second year, you will take this test in your lab. Okay. Now, other compounds. Let us discuss other compounds. That is FeSO4. When it reacts with NaOH, that gives FeOH twice. Ferrous hydroxide. It has green colored precipitate. Boys, all these are precipitates in these reactions. It has a green color. Plus Na2SO4 is the product. I am taking only unbalanced equation, boys. Please try to balance it. Green color precipitate. This green color precipitate Once again, not involved in reaction with NaOH, not dissolved in excess of NaOH, not dissolved in excess of NaOH. Like that, all these compounds are taken. That is FeCl3 when reacts with NaOH gives FeOH thrice plus NaCl. It is precipitate. It is reddish brown. Reddish brown colored precipitate is formed. Next, MnCl2. When it reacts with NaOH, that gives MnOH twice plus NaCl. It is white in color, white precipitate. Next, NiSO4, nickel sulfate. When it reacts with NaOH, that gives nickel hydroxide plus Na2SO4. It is also precipitate, boys. It is green in color. Colors are important. Green colored precipitate is formed. Green colored precipitate is formed. Next, copper sulfate and CuSO4. When it reacts with NaOH, that gives CuOH twice plus Na2SO4. It is blue in color. So blue colored precipitate. Boys, these are the different colors, boys. So qualitative analysis. In lab, cation identification is there. In cation identification, all these reactions are very helpful. So all these precipitates, all the precipitates not soluble in excess of NaOH. It is very important. No precipitate is further soluble in excess of NaOH. Those precipitates are retained. Those precipitates are retained. But some element compounds may dissolve. The precipitate is formed. That formed precipitate once again dissolved in excess of NaOH. That type of reactions are also takes. So those reactions I will explain. See, boys, these are very important. Very important. And next. See here, beryllium hydroxide, beryllium chloride, BeCl2. When it reacts with NaOH, that gives BeOH twice plus water. So this is precipitate. This formed precipitate once again reacts with NaOH, which is in excess amount. That formed hydroxide reacts with NaOH, that gives Na2 BeO2. Na2 BeO2. So plus H2R the product side. So this is a soluble, boys. Soluble compound is formed. It is a precipitate. That formed precipitate is soluble in excess of NaOH because of formation of that berylite, that is stannite, like that. Okay. So that means now we are writing a precipitate is formed. That formed precipitate further dissolved in excess of NaOH, so which is soluble in CH because of formation. So that means all the precipitates formed in these reactions are soluble in excess of NaOH. Please take that examples. That is, it is first beryllium. Beryllium. Next, aluminum. It is important. AlCl3. When it reacts with NaOH, gives AlOH thrice a precipitate. It is white gelatinous precipitate, just gum-like precipitate. White gelatinous precipitate. This one reacts with NaOH, excess of NaOH. Now that gives NaAlO2. So due to the formation of meta-aluminate, that is soluble. Plus H2 one. Plus H2. Next one, that is SnCl2. SnCl2 when reacts with NaOH gives SnOH twice. A precipitate is formed. This formed precipitate once again reacts with NaOH, gives Na2SnO2, sodium stannite. Na2SnO2 is the product. So plus water. Same when it reacts with SnCl4, Once again reacts with NaOH, that gives SnOH 4 times, a precipitate is formed. It is reacts with NaOH, that gives Na2SnO3 is the product and H2O. Na2SnO3. It is sodium stannite, ITE, it is ATE. Stannite and stannate. Those are soluble, boys. All those precipitates are soluble. Next one. With lead, that is a PbNO3, lead nitrate, when reacts with NaOH, gives PbOH twice. It is a precipitated. This one reacts with NaOH, that gives Na2PbO2 plus H2O, which is lead plumbite. That is a possibility. That is possible. Next, zinc. Zinc, and when we are taking zinc salt with reacts with NaOH, that gives ZnOH twice, which is white precipitate. It is soluble in excess of NaOH and gives Na2ZnO2 plus H2O. Sodium zincate. Sodium zincate. Next, zinc salt completed. Next, chromium, CrCl3. When it reacts with NaOH, gives CrOH thrice, which is a precipitate, soluble in NaOH, that gives Na2CrO2 plus H2O. Chromate, soluble in. Next one, that is silver, AgNO3. When AgNO3 reacts with NaOH, that gives silver hydroxide. Silver hydroxide itself, it is decomposed into silver oxide, Ag2O. Itself, it is decomposed into silver oxide. Okay, it is brown color precipitate. Brown color precipitate, it is slowly it turns into colorless. Slowly it turns. Similarly, mercury also, HgNO3 twice. When it reacts with NaOH, gives HgOH twice. It is precipitate. It is also breakdown. It self dissociates into HgO. It self dissociates into H2O. Okay, like this, reactions are possible, boys. All these precipitates soluble in excess of NaOH. All these are soluble in excess of NaOH. That is the important point, boys. Okay, because of formation of respective chemicals. First, a precipitate is formed. That formed precipitate, if excess of NaOH is added, completely soluble because of formation of these chemicals. Okay, like this, a number of chemical reactions that takes place in your NaOH. That is why NaOH is the most important reagent in your lab. So this NaOH is used to identify these metal ions in your given salts. Okay, next and last reaction for our today's class. Last reaction, that is solid NaOH. When reacts with carbon monoxide gas at high temperature and high pressure, that gives HCOON, sodium formate. So a salt is formed. Sodium formate is the salt is formed. So it is important reaction. Okay. Now uses of NaOH. Last topic for NaOH, boys. Uses of NaOH. See here, already we explained. So used as a reagent in lab. So used as a reagent in lab. Next, in the manufacture of soap, In the manufacture of soap, paper, cloth, that is textile industry like this. That is used in the manufacture of those chemicals. Those that is. Next one. Next one. For very, very important for mercerization, purification of cotton, and in petroleum refining. In petroleum refining also this is used. Petroleum refining. Next, in the manufacture of alumina, nothing but Al2O3. In the manufacture of alumina, that is NaClO compounds, NaClO3 type compounds. So these are the preparation. Next, silicate glass, like this. So their NaOH is used. And lastly, our NaOH is used because it is a base, is used to absorb acidic oxides like CO2, SO2 from nation. It is used to absorb acidic oxide like CO2, SO2. All those reactions we have completed, boys. Okay. So these are some chemical that is used for this one. And this, the mercerization of cotton is very, very important. Mercerization of cotton.